This time we come to the portion of the meeting, public commentary and inquiry. If you wish to address the Township Committee, please come to the podium. State your name and your address, please.
Lee Goldberg, 10 Arrowhead Road. For the settlement that was referred to in the resolution that you just had mentioned with the add-on, is that it was posted in the agenda, and it mentions towns like Mount Olive, Parsippany, etc. What is the liability to the town? What is the township role in all of that?
In the litigation?
Or in the settlement of litigation, like it's nothing in the wording of the resolution where I see it tied to Mars Township per se. It mentions Parsippany, Mount Olive sites, or
the township, to be brief, was a named defendant along with literally hundreds of other municipalities and other public corporations in a series of Superfund lawsuits, actually demanding compensation for the cleanup of these various Superfund sites. The reason we were named, together with the other municipalities, was not because we did anything bad, but because those landfills accepted our municipal solid waste. Little did anyone know, and all municipalities were involved, that this would later boomerang back as a problem. So it was cleanup funds against which the attorneys who represented us, and I think they did a pretty good job, they ferreted out through Ms. Milio's help and other minutes kept in the public library, records of various insurance companies that we had over the 30-year, 70s and 80s, who were then successfully able to recover literally in full all of the monies we laid out, which was hundreds of thousands of dollars, toward our share of the cleanup costs. So we're basically whole.
We had a previous settlement of $350,000, and now we have this settlement that will close it out.
gotcha. So when you say settlement, that's money that we paid out as part of the settlement? Or,
No,
we took in.
This is money coming in.
Oh, okay.
This is being reimbursed for what we had to pay out as part of the settlements approximately 10 or 12 years ago.
We're recovering money we
Recovered.
paid out.
I see.
This is a bonanza.
Okay, that's good. Thank you very much for explaining that. At last month's meeting, it was brought up, there was a settlement that was still hadn't been completely finalized for the with the Fair Share Housing Center. Has that since been fully settled and signed? Is that a complete settlement now in terms of being completed?
It won't be. We have agreement amongst the principal involved parties. The final imprimatur, if you will, is requires a what's they're calling a fairness hearing, scheduled for February 8th before Judge Neergaard.
Thank you. Thank you. Regarding the Honeywell site, I don't know if this is something that, or how I would follow up on finding out about this, but behind my residence, which I've lived in since 1994, there's monitoring wells, and those monitoring wells on the site have been sort of routinely, you see the cars pull up every night, been monitored by some sort of service employee of Honeywell. I've noticed that activity has pretty much ceased. I haven't seen anyone come and check on the well, and it was a routine, regular pattern at night and regular checks. Is that activity continuing, or how would one learn if that was
state DEP?
What's that?
Those were state DEP requirements.
So the requirements were that they be monitored.
Right, and I believe they got their closure on those, but that would be all through the state DEP.
Closure on the monitoring wells.
All of the property and the environmental conditions on the property.
Okay, thank you. I have a question on the resolution also tonight regarding the alcohol sales. It looks like because the holidays are falling on a Sunday, we're moving that time back to 10 a.m. to permit alcohol sales on Sunday for, I guess, Christmas Eve and the following weekend.
Not preventing, it's allowing.
Allowing, I'm sorry, thank you. So is that something, I mean, it seems, you know, obviously that's good for the businesses, but it seems with, football at 1 o'clock, pre-games at 12 o'clock, those times being earlier, is that something that we could actually change at the local level if we wanted to allow beer sales on 10 a.m. on any given Sunday?
Yes.
We could change, okay. Thank you. Also, my final questions are regarding the Colgate-Palmolive site. I was reading that there's some issues, I guess, with the driveway or roadway coming in and out of Menon Arena abutting that property. And maybe Ms. Johnson or Mr. Mancuso, who are on the planning board, might be able to answer this. But on that site, obviously the road leading into Menon Arena would be, I guess, a major entrance and leaving point. How many exits and entrances are planned for that site in total? Would you happen to recall? And I know the ShopRite has 3, and they're about the quarter the size across the street. Any recollection on that? Or entrances and major entrances and exits?
You talking about on the driveway, or you talking going on to Easttown around North King Avenue?
I'm just talking about from the overall development itself.
Onto
Hanover Road or MLK or whatever.
One coming on to MLK, and I believe you have 2 coming on East Hanover Avenue.
2 coming out of Eastern, and that also, does that include the road going into the Menon Arena?
It does not.
It does not. So at the ball field that's on there now in the corner now, that's going to be, I believe, relocated someplace to the back of the property? Is that the plan?
That is correct.
And will that be, I know I just learned tonight actually that we actually leased that property from Colgate. So is the new field or the new property, that's going to be part of township open space, a township field, or we'll have to lease that from the developer?
We're going to lease it.
No, that is going to be township open space property at this time.
Okay, thank you. And is there, the concern I have on it, from reading the article that I read about what's going on between the Park Commission and the developer, it seems like the planning board approved a plan that's going to have to utilize the Menon Arena Road. Would that be accurate? I mean, did the planning board sort of take that into account during their planning of that development?
We approved it subject to the adjudication of the use of the road.
Part of the planning board resolution.
Access needs to be assured, so in one way, shape, or form, it'll be dealt with.
Okay, thank you very much.
So my name is Patricia Simms of Western Avenue over in Morris Township. First, I want to start off and say thank you to Dan and Louise for your time served on the board and enjoying much health and relaxed time. I'm with the Morris Township Office of Emergency Management Rescue Squad, and I would just like to thank the board again this year for their help in supporting us. We do a roses fundraiser. So we'll be selling roses from the Morris Township Hillside Homes Company Firehouse on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So that's a fundraiser that we do, and the Township Committee has helped us let us use the firehouse because our building's down here on this side of town by the sewer plant, so I don't think anybody wants to come see us for the roses there. But, we just like to have you, thank you for putting it on the calendar and for all your support.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everybody.
Good evening, Jeff Grayzel, 118 Head Road. I have 4 things to touch on tonight, so if you'll give me the time, I would appreciate it. First is the big news of today was that the U.S. House of Representatives passed the new tax bill, and there's been a lot of talk about prepaying 2018 taxes into 2017 because of the loss of the property tax deduction or the cap on the property tax deduction. I wanted to know, has the township put anything in place where residents can prepay, or can they regularly prepay?
It's already in place.
It's already in place. And can you tell us?
Many years.
Okay. And what's the process so I can do that?
Write a check.
Just write a check and bring it in.
Correct.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. The second thing is I read in the newspaper about a trail grant that we received for the Blue Mill Farm property. Is that correct? Blue Gate Farm property. Yes, thanks. I assume that's Bill Fulch's doing. Is that correct?
Certainly is.
Great. Congratulations. Congratulations, Bill. Thank you for doing that for Morris Township. I just wanted to ask, I don't know if it was discussed before, where does the trail go? Does it just circle the property?
No, it goes from Von Egan Drive out to Carmel Hills neighborhood.
Okay. Very good. Is there a map of it? Is there something posted where you can see where the layout is?
We're going to have it surveyed. We have a rough estimate of where it's going to be. You can certainly pick up a copy of the grant application. You need no request for that.
Okay, very good. Thanks. Third, I wanted to talk about the new recycling program. I'm in phase 1, and I was very happy to start that 3 weeks ago. I cannot tell you how happy I was not to have to bundle my newspapers and just drop them in the bin. It was a pleasure. It saved me 15 minutes, and it's going to save me 15 minutes every Thursday, along with bundling my cardboard. So thank you for putting that in place. I believe it was Mr. Caffrey, who was on the sanitation committee, who put that in, helped put that in place. So,
along with many others. Thank you.
but thank you for your efforts. One comment I did have is the recycling bin, unlike the garbage bin, does not have a handle on the top. The garbage bins have 2 handles on the corners. The recycling bin does not. I don't know if it was done to save money or not, but
Different vendor.
it's a different vendor. So my suggestion is if there's it's a great convenience. I've noticed it already in 3 weeks trying to open up that bin. If there's a way to put that in the RFQ for the next round of bins,
They've already been purchased.
They've already been purchased.
But you have 15 extra minutes to figure it out.
There you go.
You got more gripping room with the new size.
Okay. And lastly, the real reason I came out tonight was to pay thanks to Dan Caffrey and Louise Johnson. I could have asked all those prior comments of Mr. Quinn offline, but I chose to come out here to recognize the 2 of you and the efforts you put into Morris Township. Speaking of newspapers, I actually read the Star Ledger, one of the 2 newspapers, and every Sunday there's a column where there's a Democrat and a Republican arguing over certain issues. It's Mike Heim from the Republican strategist. Mike Duhame, and Julie Roginski, a Democratic strategist. I don't know either of them, but I actually read their column every week. And one thing they actually said last week, they talked about why they're so friendly, and they said talking sports is more important than talking politics. And I remember many an evening talking baseball with Dan over pizza or something else. And while we disagreed on Yankees versus Mets, it was always a pleasure.
Don't try to talk sports with me. Everyone knows I
So I do want to say that there is absolutely no disputing the dedication that you guys have had to Morris Township. Dan, I think you and I overlapped by 4 years while I was on the committee. It was a pleasure working with you. And I know that being a committee man can sometimes be a thankless job, so I did want to come out and pay personal thanks to you. And I'm sure there's a lot of gratitude from other residents of Morris Township for all of the 9 years that you put into this office.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
very classy. Thank you.
Move we close the public portion, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
I
Opposed?